Hello, everybody, and welcome to the finale of Firewatch. We are on our very last day. We are getting ready to be evacuated after the big fire and the second fire merged into a very large, uncontainable fire. You can see that it is incredibly smoky out there. Probably very dangerous for them to be out here. But before we evacuate, Henry wants to check out what is going on with our wave receiver. We want to find out who has been following us, who made the videotape of us talking at the site, and we still just have a lot of answers that we're in search of. So this is the very last time that we are going to be seeing our tower. Henry has just been in the process of packing up. So grab the things off of your desk that you might want. There's a couple of things that you can hold and keep track of. He's already packed up his typewriter. We want to make sure to grab our photo with Julia, take that with us. Basically just clear off the desk, and we're going to just leave all of our notes and evidence here, I guess. They probably won't be here looking in our tower, hopefully, because this will look pretty suspect, I think. Yeah, wow, look, you cannot even see right in front of your face. That smoke is thick. Now, they don't really give you a lot of direction as to where you're going. Obviously going to follow the wave receiver, but I find sometimes it's a little bit difficult to follow because it doesn't start beeping until you're really close to an object, and we've got a pretty big map here and a lot of possibilities for where it is that we need to go. So I'll just tell you, we are going to head back to Jonesy Lake. We're going to take this path that we took in the very first day, and we're going to go down the big steep shale slide that Henry fell down on our very first day. You could be out here wandering a little while not knowing where to go, but we don't have time for that. I imagine it would be pretty difficult to stay in this environment. This has to be so hot and smoky and very, very dangerous.
What's your status?
We're getting closer. The beeps are getting closer.
I think I'm getting close.
Alright, well, I just got word that they are coming to get us. My place.
You sound worried.
No, it's just...
Brian?
I'll coordinate with the evac team and let you know when to head towards the tram. It's north. Far. Past where you found that cut back in May. There's an emergency tram out there that will let you hike to the rendezvous point at my lookout.
Alright, Delilah. She obviously is kind of lost in thought. She's living in her own world. She doesn't want to talk about things anymore. I think she probably is very worried about her job, feeling a lot of responsibility for a lot of things. So as you climb down the shale slide, you're just gonna want to hug the rock wall to the right and follow it, and eventually we'll walk right into where the wave receiver is leading us. We're gonna go up this little tiny hill here. It's going crazy. We're getting very close. Found it. You'll see that there is a rope laid out for us. and there's a GPS collar.
Someone left a rope for me to climb up. I'm down near the lake.
How do you know it's for you?
There's a tracking collar tied to it. Someone was leading me here. And there's another tape.
Oh my god, Henry.
Henry's much braver than me. I don't know that I would continue. That is ominous and creepy. And I'm just begging to get murdered.
Yeah, hi, Henry. Hey, you better find this before it burns up. We've been causing each other a lot of headaches. Now I gotta go stake out a site that's as fit for living as the one you're about to find. You'll get it when you see it. You can't blame me for keeping an eye on you. Not after bumping into you back in May. Down by the cave, for croc's sake. I've been up here for 3 years. I kept it cozy. Winters are harsh as hell, and I ran out of books. But I got that antenna rigged up, and Delilah, she's a record you don't gotta flip. I kinda get why Brian took to her. About a week ago, I stopped worrying about you finding anything out, and that's right when everything went shithouse with you two. You guys don't know anything about having kids. All right, nobody knows nothing. It ain't Andy and Opie walking down a lake to fish every afternoon. It ain't Mayberry. But you gotta know I didn't kill him. All right, we were climbing. I was teaching him. Brian was uneducated in the way to do anything. He just fucking didn't sink his anchor the right way. You know, I thought about going back, having to answer questions, and having to get him put in the ground, and I didn't see the point. Don't come looking for me. Sorry about your wife.
He didn't see the point. That is horrible to say about your child. You just left him rotting underground, and I'm sure he's able to hide that from other people because if we recall, I think Brian's grandmother died. He has no mother in the picture, and the only person who is supposed to be looking after him is his dad. So his teachers or his friends would probably just assume that he moved on, and nobody is going to remember this poor kid. Everybody's just going to assume that he moved on and that life goes on just as Delilah did. And regardless of whether you think that burying your child is worth it or whatever your beliefs are for that sort of a ritual, I just think that it's profoundly sad and frankly a little bit disgusting and cowardly that he would run away from that and just refuse to own up or to deal with it, especially if it was an accident.
We found the surveillance operation.
Okay, what does that mean? What is it?
It was Ned Goodwin. He was the one listening to us. Just him.
Ned Goodwin. He made the tape?
Yeah. He's gone. He's deeper into the Shoshone. He doesn't want anyone to know he's out here.
Because he killed Brian. Because he killed his fucking son. You need to get back here. They say the helicopters are making rounds.
Okay.
Yeah, so you have all the time that you'd like to look around in Ned's shelter that he built for himself. He has just been living in the forest for 3 years without, I guess, knowing how to deal with what happened to Brian, not having anybody to turn to. We also we're told that he suffers from pretty severe PTSD, and I imagine that didn't make things any easier. And the whole thing is just very, very sad. His little home here again is another treasure trove area where we can look at a lot of stuff and report things to Delilah. But unfortunately, her state of mind right now is one where she's just not really wanting to talk or registering much of what we're saying. So I'm going to snoop around in here a little bit and pick up some more notes and just see if we can talk to Delilah about a little bit of this stuff. But for the most part, we're kind of on our own here. I mean, I can't say he didn't care about his kid. I mean, he's got a picture of him here. He's got a Father's Day card that he made for him. He's got his son's Wizards and Wyverns game. I'm sure he feels incredibly guilty, but I still don't think that he did the right thing.
Brian was a nice looking kid.
Yeah.
You're not honoring your child's memory and the person that he was by not allowing anybody else to mourn for him and just keeping it a big secret, you know? He actually was using a very, very, very old typewriter that I'm surprised even works to fake the reports on us that we found at Wapiti Meadow.
Goodwin was the one who wrote the reports I found at the site.
You can see here that he was working on quite a few drafts before he got it perfect and was able to plant that. So there was no crazy government conspiracy. It was just Ned. You can see, though, that he has done his own research. The guy has nothing but time. He actually has a diagram of the research site here, how to break in. He's got little entrance and exit points all over the site. He took note of the fact that the doctor was going to be returning in August and even had a to-do list before they came back. So we were really up against somebody that we really had no chance of beating because he has put a lot of time and effort into doing all of this.
He wrote down everything he did to us. And everything he did every day. He was scared shitless.
I bet.
Yep, scared hermit with PTSD living in the woods. You can see he has a list of supplies here. Must have been incredibly difficult to live like this without anybody knowing that you're here, having to get food and water, and he was able to tinker with his electronics, I guess, by stripping parts, stealing things. Pretty impressive the amount of stuff that he was able to rig up.
This boombox looks familiar.
This would have been the stereo that the girls had with them.
You should see some of the stuff he was working on. I guess he had a lot of time on his hands.
Pretty incredible that he was able to just keep going for as long as he did. And if you look out at where he was sitting in his lawn chair, he has a pretty fantastic view here, and he is actually able to look out at both Delilah's tower and our tower. Now, Delilah's tower is pretty far away, but I would imagine at this distance, if he had some binoculars, he could probably watch us or any other lookouts that have been there in the past couple of years to see their comings and goings, which I imagine would be pretty useful if he's gonna go there and look for supplies, or in our case, break in. Very spooky. Just eerie. Very, very creepy.
He's got a radio base station up here. He was listening to us on that.
I'm sorry. I don't know what to say. I don't know what you want me to say. We're in the middle of a fire that is at 22,000 acres and growing. Fast.
It's gonna burn all of this up.
Well, take a picture if you're so keen to remember it.
You're not?
I don't know.
Yeah, talking to her is just kind of like talking to a brick wall at this point. She's completely shut down. But if she could see this, you know, it's probably better that Henry has found it rather than her. I don't know that Delilah would know what to do with any of this. We also have some radio logs that Ned has written, which is a wide variety of things. The things that he's done, the things that he's caught. He has also been keeping track of the wildlife, a mama grizzly, the weather, Brian's birthday. So all sorts of things. He has also been putting his notes about his plans as well in here. You can see Two Forks hiked by cave. He seems less interested. Two Forks, Julia. Two Forks is a good guy. Haven't seen Mama Grizzly in 2 months. Keeping track of the fact that Delilah drinks quite a bit. And that's also creepy as well, to think that if he's been here for 3 years, he has probably been listening in to Delilah, especially, for all that time. Listening to every conversation she has with every single person she talks to. So in July, he wrote that he fucked up. Do not want to leave. Hide supplies for migration. Delilah and Two Forks suspect conspiracy. Funny, if not dire. Observe and be ready to leave. And then he has all of his ideas for planting the evidence, recording us, and trying to pit Henry and Delilah against each other. So I think it's interesting to see all of his thoughts written down. All the things that he was thinking, all the things that he's done. Stakes are too high. No one will believe Brian was happy. Make Delilah and Two Forks less believable. Two Forks crazy ? Like wife? Not a good guy. They heard me. Fully believe there is a program. Use this. Reports are final. Make sure they find them. Two Forks almost caught me at the site. Reports worked. Recorded call used for leverage. Two Forks found supplies. Keys gone. How? Can't find Two Forks. Find Brian. That last part in this note is something that I will just never understand about how things transpired. How did he not know that he left us the keys for the cave if he was the one that left us the backpack? It had to be him, because he also had that elaborate alarm system rigged with the backpack as well. So if he didn't want us to find Brian, why did he leave us keys? That part I don't understand at all. I also think it's incredibly heartbreaking that Brian was hiding the anchors because he had already done quite a bit of climbing with his dad and he was tired of it. He didn't want to climb anymore, and that is what killed him. I also question why, if he hid the anchors, how it was that they were still able to climb. Perhaps it was an anchor that was left over from a previous climbing trip. There are still a lot of just unanswered questions that I have as this game comes to an end, and I completely understand why there are such hot conspiracy theories and just questions about the plot as a whole. But I'm pretty much done with my exploring now. I'm done looking around. All that's left now is to evacuate. We need to make our way over to Delilah's tower, and it's going to be a little bit of a walk. We're going to go through Thunder Canyon and then use some of our climbing points to take this left path in order to get over to the tram car and get evacuated. I will probably walk at some points, just because this is the best time for me to talk about any final thoughts that I have about this game. The credits aren't very long, so I don't have time to talk about it then as I normally would.
I know I should be relieved. Relieved that there's no evidence of us starting that fire. Relieved that we're not crazy. That there wasn't some conspiracy. But I'm not. He was a sweet kid. With a shitty father who hid out here like a coward after dumping him in a hole.
Well, at least we agree with that. Delilah, you and I see eye to eye on that.
Delilah, I think it was an accident. And I don't think Ned meant to kill him.
We don't know what happened for sure.
Ned wanted his son to be able to climb and do the sorts of things he did himself, but Brian couldn't.
And how'd that turn out, Henry? I'm sorry. God, it would have been so easy to tell the truth and have him sent home. I can't stop thinking about it.
That is just something you're gonna have to live with for the rest of your life, unfortunately, Delilah.
You'll let it go, and it'll be okay. It'll haunt you for a while, but eventually you'll look back and you'll be far enough away to forgive yourself.
Justify to myself, maybe.
Yeah, well, that's better than nothing.
And he'll still be down there in that cave. Because if I say anything, they're gonna ask me about Ned.
Dee?
Oh, fuck.
Is that a helicopter?
Yeah, hold on. Hey! No, there's one more. Yes, here, yeah. Yeah, he's coming. Okay, 1 second. Hey, they're here, but they're making rounds. They'll come back. I think I'm gonna go with them.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah?
I mean, it's dangerous here, and if anything were to happen, then that would be on me, so.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you sure that's okay?
I said it was.
Alright, I should go.
Have a safe flight.
Alright, have a safe hike.
And that's pretty much it for talking with Delilah for the rest of our walk. We are halfway there at this point, and it's completely up to you, depending on your relationship with Delilah, whether you want to ask her to wait for you or not. But I've always been Team Julia, I have to say. When I first played this even, I was pretty firm in not allowing Delilah to distract Henry from the loving relationship that he had with Julia. And it just doesn't seem right to not honor her as well, because Henry still has to go home and try and deal with all of that. And I think that is probably the overall theme of this game is running away does not solve any of your problems. You have to face up and own them eventually. We see Dave and Ron hiding here from some of their problems. Henry, Delilah, and Ned especially. He has hidden and never come out to face the reality of what has happened to him and happened to Brian. I mean, was his plan just to live in the woods for the rest of his life in order to prevent anybody from finding Brian? Maybe it was, but that's not a way to live life. And I hope that everything goes well for Henry when he does return home. I like Henry as a character. I want him to do well. I want him to be happy. I want him to be able to go back to his family and just face what's happening. Unfortunately, Alzheimer's, what's going on with Julia, will never get better. It only gets worse, and that is just something that he has to face. As for Delilah, I don't dislike her as a character. It's not like I kind of kept myself guarded because I don't like her, but I also don't necessarily trust her either. There's just something about Delilah that makes me sort of put up my hackles. I think she's made a lot of very poor decisions, not sending Brian home. Even though she can't feel like his death was her fault. I mean, the kid could have died at any point from anything. But not being truthful about the two girls in the beginning. Ned mentions that she will say she's going to do something, and then she sometimes will drink and forget about it. Such as looking at a list of hikers who may or may not have been coming in and out of the park to look at who might have attacked Henry earlier on in May. I don't know if she reported that secondary fire. I don't know how she explained it, but she's also made the decision not to talk about Brian because it would mean she had to talk about Ned, and probably just opening up a whole other can of worms there. And she's just choosing to save her own skin. I think that's very human. I'm not saying that people don't make mistakes. Of course they do, but there's just a lot of things about Delilah's character that are just really flawed, and it makes it harder for me to kind of relate to her. So it's nice that she's been keeping us company, but I do kind of keep her at arm's length. We are very, very close now. You can see here, this is where we were grabbing our supplies on an earlier day, and I did actually point out the cable car earlier. I took a little hike and pointed it out. Delilah said it's not usually in use, but it's clearly usable. So we're going to use this to get over to her sector for evacuation. I'm going to use my last picture in my camera, I guess, just to take a picture of Delilah's tower. We can go inside and see how it is that she lives. We've been talking to this woman for months and months and months, and we've never laid eyes on her. We don't know much about her, only what she's telling us. So it'll be interesting to see her tower. I am actually very surprised at how neat and tidy and clean it is. For some reason, Delilah doesn't strike me as a very clean and neat and tidy person, but her tower would say otherwise. It's actually pretty clean in here, cozy. Everything has a place. So you can look around and just see what kind of things Delilah has been up to, what she's been reading, what she's been doing. You can see that she is a bit of a heavy drinker. She's got a couple of bottles of tequila here. We also have her drawing that she did of us on an earlier day, and it's actually not super out of the realm of looking like us. We do have those sad, tired eyes, but she did get the facial hair pretty well. So we can grab that and hold on to it. No pictures of her though, which again I feel is a purposeful decision. They tend to block out a lot of faces, except for Henry's in this game. Once you're satisfied and you've done everything that you want to do in Delilah's cabin here, you're going to want to sit down and put on the radio headset.
Hello? Is anybody there?
Hi. Yeah, it's me. I'm back at the staging area near the trailhead. I think I see your truck.
Red? Colorado plates?
Yeah. It's a piece of shit.
It's better than whatever you drive. What do you drive?
A piece of shit.
Well, there you go.
Although I think there's a raccoon living in yours.
Make sure he's comfy, I guess.
Hey, it shouldn't take long for the helicopter to reach you.
Okay.
There's a debrief in a situation like this. Lots of questions.
Ah, shit. So, taking stock, we found out an old lookout killed his only son and decided to become a lonely hermit.
Yes.
And we prevented one fire?
Basically started another.
Okay, so that's a wash.
Oh, I'll have to figure out what I'm doing every summer from now on that isn't this.
You're not coming back?
No. And you'll have to... I don't know.
Yeah, me neither. I don't know what's next.
Tell you what, why don't you choose for me and I'll choose for you?
All right, sure. Maybe...
It's definitely a life-altering experience, and it sounds like Delilah just doesn't want to deal with this anymore and have this life.
Well, you'd make a great shrink.
Are you kidding me? You spent 10 weeks with me and God knows how much therapy it's gonna take to undo this experience.
Well, you're a good conversationalist, I guess.
Thanks. I try.
I mean, you definitely still have some stuff to learn at shrink school, like a lot of stuff.
Noted.
So, what about me then?
I think you should go to Julia, and then you can figure it out. Maybe put that typewriter to good use. Give me a sexy accent or something if you write about this.
Yeah.
You gotta go see her.
Like I said, going back to Julia was never a question in my mind. That is exactly what I would have chosen for Henry.
Henry, Look, you came out to put your memories behind you, and they're still right there in front of you.
Yep, I gotta stop running away.
You're right. I mean, I think you're right.
Good.
When I get back, maybe I could,
We shouldn't focus on this summer. Next year will roll around, and then the year after that, and then it's just, I don't know. My Aunt Judy called it a pause in the hallway of time.
Did your Aunt Judy smoke a lot of pot?
Yeah?
Well, you should try to take her advice too.
Yeah, we'll see.
There's the helicopter.
They'll land back where you hiked up. Good luck, Henry.
Good luck to you too, Delilah.
You too. Good luck.
No. Henry, you keep it for yourself, okay? Bye, Hank.
I do wish her all the luck in the world. She has been working in the Forest Service for 10 plus years, and this just seems like an experience that is going to change her forever, maybe scar her for life, I don't know, but I would imagine that this would be a very, very hard environment to just walk away from and try to get back into the real world doing something else. I hope Delilah figures it out. And it's not a very happy ending, but I like it because I think it just is trying to send us a message that life isn't fair, but we just have to keep going. We can't run away. We can't stop. Life is hard. It's unfair. And it's just a very good story overall about resilience and strength, I think. I still have so many thoughts, so many things that I want to say, so many unanswered questions. So that is it for Firewatch. In the credits here, we are going to get our camera roll in reverse order, and we'll have a little treat at the very end waiting for us. My pictures are quite depressing because I used my camera as evidence, so mine doesn't look very pretty. I don't know if these would be memories Henry would want to keep, but I thought this was the best use for the camera. Delilah wants to forget, but we do have pictures if we were to be interviewed, I guess. I hope everybody enjoyed watching me play this as much as I enjoyed actually playing it. I've had such a fun time playing this for everybody, and I would love to talk more about it in the comments. Please let me know your thoughts. If you have your own theories about the game, thoughts about the ending, whether you're Team Julia or Team Delilah, what your thoughts about Henry are, anything at all, I would love to know. I would love to discuss further. And I just highly recommend, if you haven't played this, to go play it for yourself. So at the end, you can see the pictures that Brian had a chance to take before he lost his backpack. And some nice pictures of him and his dad. This playthrough did not do this game justice. I do just highly recommend playing it yourself. Take the time, treat it like an audiobook, just go nice and slow and observe things. There are so many little Easter eggs in this game. In the special features menu, you also have the option to go back and do free roam, as I've mentioned a couple of times, and you can also take the audio tour, which allows you to go find cassette tapes out in the wild, and it'll provide a commentary by the developers. If you want a more immersive Firewatch experience. That's all that I have to say for now. The playthrough is over, and I have enjoyed every single second of it. I want to thank everybody so much for their support. This project got a fair number of views and comments, and that has made it even more enjoyable, knowing that there are people out there who really took enjoyment with this as well. Go out and play Firewatch for yourself, folks. Thank you all so very much for watching, and hopefully I will be back with a new project sometime soon.